From KGW, this is The Good Stuff.
Maybe you'll recognize some of them. They're our animal friends we got to meet and absolutely loved this year. Welcome to The Good Stuff's special animal edition. I'm Christine Pitawanich. First up, we got to meet a runaway tortoise over the summer who, however slow and steady, made it way farther than anyone expected. Alma McCarty introduces us to Bowser.
This is Bowser.
He can live to be 150.
So at less than 10 years old, he's just a baby.
We joke all the time that our kids, grandkids will have him someday.
Normally on the go, Bowser's owner, Jasmine Sprague, says he's a bit worn out, tired and hungry after a 2-day adventure.
He actually moves much faster than you would think he does. Yeah, he can really get moving when he sees something he wants.
Still got energy after that little run you had, huh?
On Tuesday, the gate was left open, and Bowser escaped his fenced-in yard nearby the Springwater Corridor in southeast Portland. Jasmine says they searched all over, figuring he couldn't have gone far.
We know he likes blackberries, and we know he likes dandelions, so we were searching yards and bushes. And when Multnomah County Animal Services called me this morning and said that they found him down at 92nd and Flavel, I could hardly believe it.
Bowser had traveled about a half-mile away from home.
One thing about police work is you never know what you're going to get. And this is one of those bizarre days where you just have to laugh.
Portland police officers doing homeless outreach in the heat stumbled across the runaway, walking along the path.
Fortunately, the tortoise is not fast, so they were able to catch up to him pretty quickly.
Rightly assuming Bowser was someone's pet, they got in touch with Animal Services.
There was a post for him being a lost pet, and they got a hold of me, and we went and picked him up in Troutdale, so he got all over the last couple of days.
Come on, get up. Oh, good boy.
Bowser's back home now.
I was really thankful. It's been really sad to not come out here in the morning and see him all splayed out, sunbathing.
And his family is certainly grateful for his speedy return.
Oh, so glad Bowser is back home. And you know, it wasn't just Bowser who slipped out a gate. A week after Bowser's escape, another tortoise made a run, or maybe a slow saunter for it. This one was across the Columbia River in Clark County. The 9-year-old African spurred tortoise named Maxine started to roam the streets after her owner accidentally left a side gate open. Drivers passing by called the sheriff's office to report the meandering Maxine. A neighbor took the tortoise in until she could be returned to her owner. And since we love talking about tortoises so much, another one is now able to walk thanks to a veterinarian at Dove Lewis Animal Hospital. They 3D printed a prosthetic wheel for Cookie to replace his amputated leg. Daisy Caballero has the story.
Impingement.
This is Mr. Cookie. He's a 3.5-pound, 10-year-old red-footed tortoise that's moving and grooving again thanks to 3D printing technology.
Unfortunately, red-footed tortoises are prone to flipping themselves over in their enclosure and having trouble righting themselves.
Earlier this month, doctors at Dove Lewis had to amputate Cookie's leg after it was pinned when flipped over.
It probably caused some blood vessel and nerve damage to the end of the front limb.
That's when a fellow doctor decided to use their 3D printer to create a prosthetic wheel, allowing Cookie to continue exploring his surroundings.
We used a surgical, basically implant putty to attach it to the bottom of the shell. And then this piece came with multiple different attachments, and it just clicks into place like this. Again, this was all 3D printed. And it came with multiple different attachments.
Making it the first time Dove Lewis uses this technology in cases like Cookie's. But senior exotics veterinarian Kelly Flaminio says it's not uncommon with exotic animals.
People have talked about using like pool balls or golf balls cut in half, but none of that is custom made. And so the fact that we were able to take measurements and get exactly what we wanted and to create this fun little, piece that slides in and out. So that was really exciting.
And after some tasty treats and a little push, Cookie is back and moving, taking one prosthetic step at a time.
Aw, Mr. Cookie moving and grooving again. Our next good animal story takes us to a sanctuary in Columbia County. John Goodwin shows us why no more bad days is more than a motto at On Golden Rescue.
Just being here is a gift in itself.
The first thing you notice at On Golden Rescue is the peacefulness of the pasture.
We're a sanctuary.
Larry Boxman and his wife Gail founded OGR a couple years ago in Columbia County. The nonprofit is a large animal rescue internationally accredited by the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries. 20 four-legged residents call this place home.
Are you talking? Huh? Want another treat?
Larry stands with Jericho. Jericho is about 22 years old. He came to OGR from California.
He was trained to find lost backpackers and campers in the woods, and he was very successful.
An on-the-job injury forced Jericho into retirement. He was then put up for auction and probably would have been sent to a kill pen.
And somebody recognized him and said, from the newspapers, of him being a hero and finding these lost campers, and said, you can't kill this horse. And so he took him home with him.
Now, this is home, but it was a journey to get here.
He would not go into the trailer. The neighbors who brought him from California were there, and they kept saying, it's okay, Jericho, no more bad days. Hi, guys.
That saying resonated with Larry, who wears his heart on his sleeve and those words over his heart.
And so we adopted that as our motto, and that's our goal. We want these animals that have come from tough situations, and we want to make sure they don't have any more days for whatever's left of their days.
You are on camera now. Here you go.
Barbara Liebel is the animal care coordinator. Her decades of animal rescue and rehab experience tells you right where her heart is.
I do not have bad days. I have exciting days. I have adventures, and sometimes we are here for a long time if it's necessary, but no, there are no bad days here.
Some of these animals have stories of abuse and neglect. Others may just be living out their golden years, like Jericho after his years of service. Each is closely cared for through specialized diets and medical plans, and with all the love to ensure no more bad days.
When you watch the life come back in their eyes, when they get the horse spirit back, there's no better feeling. That stays with you forever, and I just feel better about life. No matter how bad of a day you're having, you feel better about life.
In Columbia County, John Goodwin, KGW News.
Oh, they're doing such good work out there. Hey, still to come on this special edition of The Good Stuff, a local deputy and his canine sidekick go viral. A look at the other side of the deputy's daily life after the break. Welcome back to this animal edition of The Good Stuff. A police dog and his human counterpart got pretty famous online this year. The duo from Washington County brought tons of smiles to people around the world. Ashley Grams has their story.
There's a lot more to Washington County Canine Radar than his bark. In fact, it's all about his bite. This 10-year-old Belgian Malinois, trained to track down suspects running from law enforcement, recently found fame on social media.
We got quite a bit of a following. And
that's Radar's partner, Sergeant Eamon O'Reilly.
He's been my partner for 9 years, so that's quite a bit of time for a police dog.
The two often spend their time in a police cruiser, with Radar in the back.
So I pop that open, and he pops his head out.
This is where O'Reilly and Radar's simple moments have turned into viral videos. The two share a snack break.
Happy birthday, bud.
Sometimes garnering more than 1 million views.
That's bananas to me. That's still just, it blows my mind.
But for Sergeant O'Reilly, it's about more than just sharing a meal with his partner.
I think there's always an interest in seeing a different side of law enforcement, and that includes law enforcement dogs.
This curiosity gives him the chance to change the narrative when it comes to the public's perception of officers.
People have an image of what they are, what we do, what they do, and seeing something unique from us or something that kind of makes us feel more like real people is interesting. Come here.
While Radar is a highly skilled working dog,
he loves this toy more than anything else.
He'll always be man's best friend.
You're so funny. You're so silly. Oh, so good job.
Radar, I love that you're such a foodie. Me too. You know, his followers on social media were often the ones who sent him snacks. People from around the world would send their favorite treat, and then they'd wait for Radar's seal of approval. So cute. Well, there is a group of animals at the Oregon Zoo known as second chance animals. They face some type of life-threatening challenge, but they found help and eventually a home at the zoo. Our Drew Carney hung out with a couple of them this fall.
Say good morning to Homer, the opossum, who calls the Oregon Zoo home. Also say good morning to Kara. She is part of the Ambassador Animal team here, one of the keepers in the Ambassador Animal program at the Oregon Zoo. All right, Kara, let's talk about this Ambassador Animal program. What is it exactly?
Just some of our animals that have gone through some training to be a little more comfy with getting a little more up close with our guests. So you'll often see them in our summer shows or in animal counters at different events around the zoo.
Not only is Homer an ambassador animal, he's also a second chance animal here at the zoo. So let's talk about his second chance story.
His mom actually made her way onto a cargo ship in Washington State, which made its way up to Homer, Alaska. And opossums are not native to Alaska. They would be considered an invasive species there. So once they found her, they realized she had a bunch of babies with her as well. Homer was one of those babies, and they're all safe under human care now.
I have to ask this question. Isn't it possum? When do we add the O back? Or should the O have never gone away?
It just depends where you're found in the United States, whether or not you hear them called possum or opossum. But there is technically a whole family of possums that are not opossums, but you mostly find them over in Australia, and they look pretty different. However, both possums and opossums are marsupials, so they carry their babies in pouches.
All right, Homer, as cool as you are, we do have to make room for our second ambassador animal. This is Pinecone the Screech Owl, fully grown, by the way. So I'll ask you, Kara, they must use this size or lack thereof to their advantage somehow.
Most importantly, they don't have to compete with the bigger owls for food. A screech owl like Pinecone can hunt smaller things like insects.
What the heck do you think he's staring at there? His eyes are fixated on something.
He's not a big fan of my hat today. He's making sure that hat stays on my head.
Pinecone is also a second chance animal. So can you tell us his second chance story?
Yes, Pinecone was found as an orphan, a tiny, tiny little baby screech owl, and he went to a rehabilitation facility to see if he could be re-released back into the wild, but unfortunately he was imprinted on humans. So he looks to us for food and to take care of him. So Oregon Zoo was the perfect home for him.
I'll tell you what, Pinecone, you were pretty awesome. I think you've earned yourself a treat to wrap this segment up.
Oh, Pinecone is so pretty. You're watching the special animal edition of The Good Stuff. And still ahead, imagine walking along a beach and finding fossils from millions of years ago. The unlikely scenario on the Oregon coast. Stay with us. Welcome back. One lucky beachcomber on the Oregon coast came across quite a discovery back in March. They unearthed a fossil believed to be more than 20 million years old. Joe Ranieri has a look at the discovery.
Things wash up along the Oregon coast all of the time, from whales to red crab and everything else in between. But one woman spotted something very rare. What she saw was a more than 20 million year old fossil that she found while walking along the beach near Newport. According to this Reddit post, it was spotted late last month while someone was looking for agates. Instead of finding rocks, they found this.
It seems to be a marine-born creature, somewhat hippo-like, but not actually related to hippos.
Andy Brown owns Paxton Gate in Northwest Portland, a business that's known for selling fossils.
Things wash up, they deteriorate, then they wash back out into the sea, so finding something like this is actually pretty rare.
The finding off the coast has been getting a lot of attention. It even caught the attention of Nick Pienson, a curator of fossil marine mammals at the Smithsonian, who says this is the fossil of a desmostilian.
These were mammals. They're an extinct group of mammals called desmostilians. And I'll show you a bit of what the skull, the owner of the teeth, what its skull would have looked like. This is a cast.
Pienson says they look like a combination of two animals, one being a hippo and the other
very closely related to elephants and also sea cows, both of which are herbivores, both of which have are mammals that do interesting things with their teeth.
What he doesn't know is how long it's been along the Oregon coast, but says more than 20 million years ago, these animals were known to swim in the ocean of the northern Pacific. He also has a good idea where it came from.
And sometimes those rocks either fall down from the cliff face or they get churned up by storms. So after a storm is a great time to go look on the beach.
And he says, while something like this is rare,
you got to be lucky and you have to have a good eye.
It pays to have luck on your side sometimes.
You know, even if I got lucky, I don't think I'd recognize that was a fossil. Coming up on this animal edition of The Good Stuff, how Toby the cat helps children understand homelessness. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our special animal edition of The Good Stuff. Homelessness is a really complex issue, one that may not be so easy to explain to young kids. That's why the communications director at Blanchet House in downtown Portland wrote a children's book about Toby the cat looking for a home. John Adams has the story.
The book is called Toby Finds a Home, and it tells the story of Toby, a homeless cat, and the people he meets on his journey to find a warm meal to eat and a place to stay the night.
Homelessness can be a really complex and difficult issue for parents and educators to talk with children about.
That inspired Julie Showers to co-write the book along with her mother, a former first grade teacher. The story, told through the eyes of Toby the cat, highlights characters that are inspired by the many people who use Blanchet House for services.
As he visits our cafe, he meets some of the other guests that come here. So through Toby, children are learning about the different kinds of people who might be in need of a free meal or some support.
Toby Finds a Home features all original illustrations by local Portland artist Eva Rosinski and depicts many scenes that take place daily at the shelter.
This is a typical scene outside Blanchet House, people waiting to come inside.
The book, which is meant for children between the ages of 2 and 7, is being published by Blanchet House and is available for purchase on their website and at select bookstores around the city. Showers hopes the story will serve as an important tool to teach kids about homelessness and the different circumstances that can cause people to need assistance.
We really hope that this book helps humanize, people that kids are seeing on the street and inspires them to help.
All the proceeds from Toby Finds a Home go directly to the Blanchet House in their mission. In downtown Portland, John Adams, KGW News.
Very cool endeavor. Hey, speaking of cats though, do you remember the 6-foot-tall Coraline cat statues on display in downtown Portland all summer? Well, they're gone now, but they've left for a good cause. The statues have been auctioned off, and that raised almost $325,000. All the money went to Dornbecker Children's Hospital. It's estimated over 135,000 people visited the statue trail from August through October. And from cats to bats, we are so proud of an Oregon bat who won the National Bat Beauty Contest for the 3rd year in a row. Meet Harry Potter. He is a hoary bat. In the final round of the competition, he defeated the western small-footed bat from Idaho. The Bureau of Land Management runs this contest each year during International Bat Week in late October. Congrats to you, Harry Potter. That's all the time we have for this special edition of The Good Stuff. A huge shout out to all the wonderful animals that we got to meet and the people who have loved and taken care of them. And of course, thank you for watching. Remember, you can stream The Good Stuff on your schedule. Just download the free KGW Plus app.